Twilight! Ow! Sunset rubbed her throbbing jaw, swearing under her breath. That mare kicks hard. A arc of lightning flew past her, almost throwing her off of balance. Get out of here before I burn or electrocuted. Both the others are trapped. She couldn't take that chance and leave one of her friends to die. She rushed to the stairs, narrowly avoiding the lightning that erupted from the floor. Black Cloud became illuminated by the rapidly spreading fire and bolts of electricity that crackled in every direction. Sunset climbed down the staircase, taking 3 steps at a time as it began to deteriorate beneath her. Hello? She called upon reaching the bottom floor. Her ear twisted as she heard a faint cry of help! She recognized the voice of Milky Way and ran forward to find him. Pillars of fire towered over her, stretching to the top of the thunderhead, raining embers down upon her. She raced in and out of the flames, racing towards Milky Way's cries. As big as the library was, she didn't remember the distance between the far wall and the stairs being this long. She finally found Milky Way held in the corner, glasses askew, and tips of his left wing burned right off, showing some bone. Sunset knelt next to him. Mr. Milky Way, are you alright? God, it's you! He took a few labored breaths before calming down a little. I was trying to escape the clouds starting to expand and build electricity. To prove his point, more lightning danced above them, darting it out of the cloud. Why can't you just fly through it? Sunset asked. He looked at her as a parasprite was hitting her face. You crazy? You can't just fly through a thundercloud. It's bad enough sitting in one. He threw his face to his host. It's hopeless. We're trapped. We're both going to die in here. Sunset gave him a rough shake. We are not going to die in here. I'll get us out. Just hold on to me. The frightened Pegasus obeyed, gripping tightly onto Sunset's tail. She squeezed her eyes shut and pictured the outside of the library. Charging up her horn as the image became clearer, Sunset felt a familiar sensation akin to being shot forward out of a circus can. Only this time she had extra weight hanging on her tail. She opened her eyes to the bright sun glaring at her and found great pressure squeezing her neck. Sunset! We were so worried about you! Twilight cried. Wanted to go back and look for you, but I didn't know how far the fire had spread, so I wasn't certain it was safe to teleport inside. Are you alright? I will be, as soon as he stopped choking me. Twilight let go and gave a secret grin before seeing the bruise on Sunset's cheek. Sunset, what happened? Vesper Radiance kicks hard. Sunset gingerly rubbed the sore spot, feeling it had grown a large welt. So I now owe her one, personally. Scratch that, I owe her 2. Farsight, meanwhile, attended to Milky Way. He was staring at what remained of the first library at Cloudstale. It was just a billowing thundercloud now, occasionally lighting up and letting out a grumble of thunder. Any semblance to a structural building was long gone. Mr. Milky Way, sir, are you okay? She asked, her own wings cut out from the falling glass. My library, my poor library. Thousands of years of literature, just gone. He sat on his knees and stared at the massive cloud as Pegasus came in to contain it. There, I'll be okay, Farsight said, rubbing his back, trying to avoid touching his damaged wing. Spike walked in between Twilight and Sunset. Can somebody please explain to me how a library made of clouds caught on fire? What the heck happened in there? Technically, Vesper didn't set the library on fire, just the books, Sunset explained. But I think she used enchanted fire to make them burn more intensely than normal. Either way, there were enough books in there to set the whole place ablaze. Spike nodded his head. Okay. But could you explain that? He pointed to the bulbous cloud formation. Sunset was silent for a moment, analyzing what had occurred. But before she disappeared, she saw a spell into the ceiling. Thinks he might have supercharged the entire building with electricity, turned it into one giant thundercloud. Spike threw his arms out. But why? Why destroy the entire library? Probably because she found what she was looking for. He didn't want us to find it, Twilight answered. This and Pegasus were now at the scene, attempting to dislodge the static charge of the clouds, preparing ring clouds for the fire within. News reporters and spectators were standing behind a roped-off checkpoint, shouting questions to everyone gathered what used to be the library. Medical Pegasus flew over to security points, keeping the onlookers away, and landed next to a still dazed Milky Way. They were about to take him away on a stretcher to tend to his wing and mental trauma, when Twilight rushed over and stopped them. Wait, Mr. Milky Way, I wanted to say, I'm really sorry about the library. Milky Way lay on the stretcher, staring up at the empty sky. It's okay, Princess. You didn't do it. All of his emotion gone. Eyes seemed fake of any expression. I hope you feel better soon. Before you go and rest, I need you to tell me something very important if you can. Milky Way just nodded. That mare who was inside before us. What was she looking for? Did she tell you? Milky Way turning his head slightly. Milky Way made eye contact with Twilight. Almost the same thing you were looking for. She asked where the history and mythology sections were, and the genealogy section. She came really early. I had forgotten she was there. Twilight nodded. Okay, one more question. Do you know where Tempest Crown is? You played there. Princess, that's an old mare's tale. It doesn't really exist. But what if it did? What can you tell me about it? Milky Way turned his head back and looked at the sky. The books say that whoever would be king of the skies. They could create and control the most ferocious storm, fly at tremendous speeds. They would be untouchable in the air, but it was a tremendous power, said to twist and warp the mind. So it was hidden away long ago, and it's said that the crown's location was handed down through Commander Hurricane's blood. It was an unwritten secret. I looked back at Twilight with sad glaze. That's all I could tell you, Your Highness. I don't know if Commander Hurricane has any living descendants. Twilight patted his hoof. Thank you. You've been a big help. Now please get some rest. Medical Ponies flew off with the stretcher, leaving Twilight back with her waiting friends. Well, at least we learned something. Yeah, the only pony who might know where the crown is may or may not be alive, and Vesper Radiance is a complete psychopath! Spike quipped, crossing his arms. Sunset sighed. Hopefully the other girls found a little more information. Rainbow Dash knew Cloudsdale like the bottom of her hoof. She had raced through the streets more times than she could count, and chased by the royal guards for disturbing the peace. However, she was never exactly a mare culture, so she only had a small idea where Cloudsdale Museum was. She and her party roamed through Cloudsdale, undisturbed their exact location, though Rainbow insisted she knew where she was going. When they passed by the statue of Private Pansy for the third time, Applejack finally stopped them. Okay, let's flex it, Rainbow. We're lost. Which is incredible, considering that this is your hometown. Rainbow scowled at her. We aren't lost, we're just a little off course. But I know it's around here somewhere. Probably. Rarity gestured with a hoof to the ponies milling about in the plaza that he stopped in. Why don't you ask one of them? I'm sure some pony here can tell us what it is. I don't need directions. I told you, I know where I'm going. She flew up a little harder and squinted out into the distance. She pointed to the hoof. It's this way, observe it, come on! She shook off down the road without waiting for a response from her friends. Rarity and Applejack both let out irritated sighs, while Pinkie merely skipped along. Here, girls! How often do you get to walk around Pegasus City? We should enjoy it while we're here. They followed Rainbow Dash to a nearby park that had 3 straight clouds. Foals were playing on a swing set, testing how far they could fly. Rainbow stopped under a tree, beginning to admit to herself she had no idea where she was. I really need to visit more. She flew out to the top of the cloud tree and used it as a lookout, trying to spot anything that looked like a museum. Do you see anything? Ah! Rainbow almost fell out of the tree. The sun appeared as a Pinkie Pie standing next to her. How did you get up here? Silly, I climbed. Rainbow faced up and heard a voice from down below said, Well, till you finally meet, you have no idea where you are. Rainbow slowly descended to the base cloud, while Pinkie merely got down the tree, landing on all 4 hooves, bouncing on a soft floor. You know what this is, people? This is when the party splits up, and you have the party team that has no idea what they're doing, and all they want to do is just find the local tavern and have some fun and cause mischief, while the party that's interested in telling the story are doing the hard work. Rainbow rubbed the back of her mane. Alright, so maybe I don't have a perfect idea. Is that Rainbow Dash? Oh my gosh, it is! The next thing Rainbow knew, she was surrounded by a small group of foals, all clamoring and competing for her attention. While Pinkie, Rarity, and Applejack were pushed to the wayside, Rainbow's feelings of jubilation were matched by the smirk on her face. You're so awesome! Can I have your autograph? Can you do a song, Rainbow? Don't worry, kids. There's plenty of Dash to go around, Rainbow said cockily, shining whatever objects the foals had placed in front of her. Applejack shook her head. Great, just what the girl needs. More ponies to stroke her ego. She waved a hoof trying to get Rainbow's attention. Hey, RD! I hope to break up your little fan club, but are we supposed to be doing something important? Oh, Rainbow handed an autograph ball back to the Star Circle. Oh, right. Sorry, kids, but I gotta go be awesome somewhere else. But, who can tell me where the History Museum is? It took a minute to decipher the location of the museum with all the ponies talking over another. When Rainbow eventually got the information she needed, it bid her fans goodbye. The group traveled down the slope to an area where more clouds were buildings. Applejack caught up to Rainbow's smirk. So, I can finally admit you had no idea where to go. I knew all along where the museum probably was. I just needed to confirm with those kids and make sure they know where the national landmarks are and stuff. There was no way Rainbow would admit that she had gotten lost in her own city. I repeat, this is Scanlan and Grog going off somewhere on their own adventure while the rest of the part of Vox Machina are trying to complete the story. Tell me I'm wrong in the comments, Vox Machina fans! The entrance to the Clydesdale History Museum was close to the edge of the city. Entering over the door had words engraved to it, though they were all in equestrian. Do you know what this says, Rainbow? AD asked. Rainbow just shook her head. It says, fly on yesterday's wings towards a brighter tomorrow, Pinky answered. Everybody gave her a quizzical stare. I'm giving her a stare! She shrugged. What? I can read all equestrian. Somehow, Rainbow didn't find that fact surprising at all. She pushed the door open and walked inside, finding herself greeted by a large, lifelike sculpture of Commander Hurricane sitting in the room. Behind it were several displays of old weapons and rusted armor. Banners hung from the ceiling, depicting a pony's head with blue wings and stars covering the background. Old banner of the Pegasus tribe. Several hallways broke off from the main room, leading deeper into the museum. Ponies approached the desk, where a light blue mare greeted them. Welcome to the Clydesdale History Museum, she said in cheaper voice. Tickets for 4? Rainbow leaned back, eyebrows raised. Tickets? Don't you know who we are? We're the Elements of Harmony. We don't need no stinking tickets. The mare continued to smile at him, unfazed by Rainbow's behavior. Sorry, Miss Rainbow Dash, but policy is policy. All guests have to have the ticket inside, or... She pointed to a burly standing not too far from them. You'll be escorted out the premises. Fine. How much for a ticket? 20 bits each. 20 bits! Rainbow said, outraged. She knew there was a reason she never came here. Calm down, Artie. We're here for a reason. Might as well play. Applejack pulled out a hoofful of bits from underneath her hat, placed them on the counter. Pinky and Rarity followed suit, looking at Rainbow expectantly. She grumbled and pulled out 20 bits, throwing them on the counter. We wouldn't have to pay you while you were here with us. The receptionist took the money and put it to the cash register before pulling out 4 tickets and hanging them out. Smile never letting her face. I hope you enjoy yourselves. Rainbow snatched the ticket and snorted. I doubt it. They proceeded past the counter and down the hall labeled Ancient History. Pictures and tapestries depicting events in Pegasi history hung on the walls, each with a short description underneath it. The hallway opened up to a large square room filled with more exhibits and pictures of equestrian history. Must have been a slow day, for there was only one other family of Pegasi in the room. So, what exactly are we looking for? Anything that might give us a clue to the whereabouts of the Tempest Crown, Rarity said, wandering over to a display of old war helmets. You really think we'll find something here? Well... Pinky pulled out a dentist's hat and magnifying glass. You don't know where until we look! She scurried away, keeping her face towards the floor. I'll grab them, Huff! No. I'll rough them up! Quick! We're on the case! I don't know. I think Twilight Years might have better luck than us. She looked at the display of scale model of the ancient Pegasi city her ancestors had migrated from. Identical to Clydesdale in several ways. Speaking of the others, I bet I need to ask you, Rainbow. What's with you giving Sunset the cold shoulder all the time? Rainbow scratched her face up, looking at the manager's city. She knew someone was going to ask her, but she still hadn't been able to properly work out her answer. Rainbow Dash was a pony of instinct. She knew her instincts had occasionally got her in trouble, but at the end of the day, she were usually right. I don't trust her, AJ. I can't really explain why. It's kind of a gut feeling, but something about her is shady. Here to explain a little? Rainbow pulled away from the class and started pacing the floor. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw the Pegasus family walk into the other room. Something she was a little grateful for. Okay, so the part about the Dark Regalia checks out. But how do we know she's really from the future? Because he says she's Twilight students and protects Spike's get wings, and he probably could do that. I don't know, darling. She seems pretty trustworthy to me, Rarity tried to reason. Yeah, so did Chrysalis when she was pretending to be Princess Cadence. Both Rarity and Applejack visibly cringed for Mary. Pinkie had vanished from view. Playing her pacing, Rainbow jumped and sat in the air. Listen, you girls know I trust Twilight, now more than ever. But she has a heart the size of Ponyville. She'll eat up any sob story as long as it's delivered right. I'm just trying to look out for her. For all of you. I'm not ready to blindly follow whatever Sunset has to say. Rarity let her lip. Well, I wouldn't say we were blindly following her. No, you aren't. Rainbow waved a hoof. Well, you sort of are. I mean, there's evidence supporting her story of some mayor called Vesper Radiance wanting to take over Equestria. But there isn't enough for me to believe that Sunset is a saint trying to help the world. I mean, Leslie just wants to get rid of Vesper Radiance so she can get the regalia for herself. You heard the princesses. They're indestructible. It gives you loads of crazy power. Where's the proof that she really is Twilight's student? Pinkie popped out of a nearby face. Boop! In her eyes, of course. The three confused faces looked at her, causing Pinkie to start with laughter. I would ask, but I'm afraid to find the answer. Isn't it obvious? Sunset looks at Twilight the same way Twilight looks at Celestia. Looks the same way a baby duck looks at their mama's butt to use a breadcrumb. She tapped the magnifying glass against her nose. Or, maybe that's wrong, Nosy. Point is, Sunset has nothing but love and respect for Twilight, and hurting her is the last thing Sunset wants to do. Mickey's smile faded a little, and Sunset seen something really bad happen. I could see the pain in her eyes when I first ran into her. This is why I wanted to make the party special, of course. Of course, I tried to make everybody's party special, but that's beside the point. Pinkie, never stop being Pinkie. Rainbow stared at Pinkie Pie, mouth slightly agape. You got all that from looking at her eyes. Eyes are the window to the soul. The longer you stare, the more you see. Pinkie whispered mysteriously as he sunk back into the face. Rainbow was silent, having a rare moment where she called her instincts to question. She had seen the way Sunset doted after Twilight. Was it not an act after all? Was he really the survivor of a dead future? Part of Rainbow wanted to believe it was true. And Sunset meant no harm. That feeling in her gut persisted, telling Rainbow that something was amiss. Still, maybe she had been a little too sappy towards the newcomer. Applejack and Rarity watched Rainbow for a long time, waiting for her to respond. A long minute passed of her just sitting in the air, staring into space with a hard look on her face. Finally, she opened her mouth and slowly said, Well, maybe I've been a little cold to her. You guys trust her, right? I don't think the girl has anybody's intentions. Call it my gut feeling, Applejack said. Rarity nodded in agreement. I'm Twilight trust her, along with everybody else. So, I guess I'm the odd one out, huh? Being cautious is nothing to be ashamed of, dear, Rarity assured. Sometimes we need someone to keep us level-headed. But maybe you could show a little less hostility? Yeah, I guess. Rainbow dropped back to the floor and rubbed the back of her head. Since you guys trust her, she can't be all that bad. I'm still keeping my guard up. Applejack rested a hoof on Rainbow's shoulder. No pony will fault you for laying. Come on, we got search to do. Girls, I found something! I found something! Pinkie came bursting in your room. Her hat and magnifying glass had mysteriously disappeared. I think I found something about the crown thingy. Without a word, the others followed Pinkie into the adjoining room, containing pictures and statues of famous ponies. Pinkie stopped in front of an old watercolor picture that showed a lone Pegasus hovering in front of a wall of vicious-looking black clouds that were hissing lightning and spewing rain. Something that looked like a crown was on top of her head. Rainbow looked down and read the description. During the early days of Lost Pegasus, a terrible hurricane hit, threatening to destroy the young town. Several groups of Pegasi tried to turn it back, but none of them were successful. 9 of them died in the attempt. As the storm was about to break on the city, Captain Gale, leader of the Stormwatch team, flew out to meet it alone, a dark crown on his head. For hours he battled the hurricane and eventually turned it back. Pushing it back to the ocean, when Commander Captain Gale returned, the crown was gone. He was praised as a hero, having single-handedly defended Lost Pegasus. Next to the picture was a statue of Captain Gale. Hoof raised, wings spread, and a crown identical to the one Princess Celestia had shown him the last night upon his head. The plaque beneath it read, Captain Gale and the Crown of Storms. Well, that can't be coincidence, Applejack said. That has to be the tip of his crown. Pinkie vibrated her head in agreement. That's what I thought. That means we gotta go to Las Pegasus and ask the captain for the crown. Pinkie, Did you read the date on this? Rarity asked. That was ages ago. Cousin Gale is dead. Piggy's ears drooped. Oh. Rarity continued. But this does know us a bit. The crowd must be somewhere in the Las Pegasus area. If not, then our next clue certainly is. All right, a trip to the beach. I'm game. Rainbow rubbed her hose together. Dustin, the receptionist came in, a smile on her face looking strained. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, everybody, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises. Rainbow flew out her face. What? I did a ridiculous fee you pay us again. You're kicking us out? I'm sorry, but it's a safety issue. Since the incident in the library, all national landmarks are closed for the rest of the day. Probably for the rest of the week. What? Applejack stepped forward, concern spreading across her face. What incident in the library? The smile on the mayor's face left, surveyed by a look of fear. Well, I heard there was some kind of terrorist attack. The entire place is destroyed. Wait, where are you going? So he shouted after the 4 points, who bolted out of the museum. Sunset watched Twilight try to handle the press for almost 20 minutes before Twilight was able to slip away. She only answered basic questions and keeping information about the Roark regalia out of public knowledge. The 3 ponies and Dragon were now making their way back to the balloon, 3 hours earlier than they had planned, disheartened by the recent turn of events. They continued their walk in silence, until Twilight blurted, Who does that? Who burns thousands of years' worth of knowledge? Not to mention history and culture, Sunset added. She looked at Fireside and said, I'm really sorry about all that. Oh, it's okay. Well, not really, but I'll be fine. Oh, this doesn't say I didn't care about it. I cared a lot. I just got nobody seriously got hurt. As far as I could finish talking, a colorful bullet dropped out of the sky and tackled Twilight. Rolled across the clouds, coming to a stop with Rainbow Dash hanging over Twilight. Rainbow looked at the others behind her and back to Twilight. You guys all right? We heard something bad happen in the library. We're fine for the most part, Rainbow, Twilight sighed. The library on the other hoof. Rarity, Applejack, and Pinkie Pie caught up, panting like they had just run a marathon. Applejack recovered first, taking a one revitalizing breath before looking at Sunset and gasping. Sugar Cube, what happened to you? Sunset self-consciously rubbed her bruised cheek. The well had swollen a little. It's now purple and black. Vesper Radiance happened. I'm just glad she didn't knock out any teeth. Applejack gasped again. Y'all ran to Vesper Radiance? Unfortunately. She nodded. She set all of the books on fire, turned the entire library into a storm cloud. Rarity held a puff to her mouth. My goodness! Well, I'm glad you all made it out safe and almost out. Rainbow helped Twilight off the floor, grim expression on her face. She turned the entire library into a storm cloud? How? Every building in Cloudsdale is constructed so stuff like that can't happen. Well, remember, she's wearing the Amalcor amulet. That's dark magic, and some rules don't apply, Twilight said. Rainbow looked off into the distance and gritted her teeth. This girl wrecked my city. She pounded her hoof to her chest. No pony messes like Cloudsdale gets away with it. Right, Fluttershy? Fluttershy squeaked at the sudden call for her name. Right? Put your proud away for a sec, Dash, Applejack ordered. Gotta tell them what we found at the museum. Twilight Brian. The girls found something? Pinkie nodded silently. Mm-hmm. See, we found this picture of... A bright red light struck Pinkie on the side. She dropped the clouds like an iron weight, leaving behind a cry of Whee! As he fell. Pinkie Pie! Rainbow yelled, diving to the cloud after her. What just happened? Rarity asked, before a bright red light hit her as well. She fastened the cloud with a loud shriek. Yip! Oh my goodness! Fluttershy dove after her just as another light hit Applejack, followed by Spike. Her Sunset yelled her name. She felt a mysterious beam held her as well. It was an odd sensation, like silk sliding off her hose. It was short-lived, however, replaced by a feeling of weightlessness as she dropped into the once solid cloud, building moisture on her fur. Over she burst to the other side, saw the world rushing to meet her, and Sunset screamed. Her voice joined to several others, her friends all falling to their demise. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw Fluttershy struggling to bring Rarity back to the cloud base, or she had succumbed to the injuries on her wings and began to fall as well. The wind whipped Sunset's face, stinging her eyes and inhabiting her breathing. She tumbled through the air, losing track of what was up and what was down. The world became an inferno of colors. Her brain scrambled to think of anything that could pull her out of the situation. As she fell through the open air, nothing came to mind. She became aware of a rattling noise next to her ears and noticed her hourglass necklace trying to slip off her neck, sand beads sinking in their bulbs. She clutched at her hooves. We're for shot! She thought desperately. Over the screaming wind, she yelled, Take me back 10 minutes so we can stop us from falling to our deaths! She flipped the hourglass and waited. After several tense seconds, nothing happened. Why, you no good piece of... Sunset's rant was cut short by a pair of hooves grabbing her just underneath her. She looked to see Twilight, wings flapping wildly. Strange look on her face. Sunset would have reassured, but they weren't still losing altitude, albeit at a slow rate. Fly, Twilight! Fly! Sunset urged. Twilight grunted, I'm trying, but I don't really know how to fly yet, and you're kind of heavy. Ignoring the comment about her rate, Sunset screamed, What do you mean you don't know how to fly? Rainbow danced and just grabbed Pinkie in time to see Rarity drop past her, followed by Fluttershy. She was about to breathe easy when she saw the rest of her friends fall through Cloudsdale, one by one. Pinkie let out a cry of horror. Rainbow, we gotta do something! I'm on it! She cried, diving for Applejack first. Even while falling through the air, Applejack managed to keep her Stetson on her head. Seeing Rainbow dive to her rescue, Applejack ceased her flailing and simply held her hose out, putting a look on her face. Rainbow grabbed Applejack's hoof, holding onto her one foreleg, while Pinkie was on the other. You're a slut lifesaver, Sugar Cube! Applejack panted. Rainbow didn't say anything. Instead, she swung around head for Rarity and Fluttershy, who was still making feeble attempts to fly. Hang on! Rainbow cried. She raced towards the two falling ponies. And cue loyalty? Diving in an angle of outstretched hooves, she was beginning to feel the strain holding two fully grown ponies. Athletic Mind told her to ignore it, however, bringing Desire's friends to hold her to suck it up. Rainbow flew underneath Rarity and Fluttershy, catching them on her back. The impact forced her to drop a few feet and knocked some of the wind out of her lungs. She took a few deep breaths and spotted Spike, cartwheeling through the air. Some distance away, Twilight and Sunset were still descending as well. Rainbow chose Spike first, knowing he didn't have wings to slow himself down. Her own wings were beginning to burn, heart pounding his chest. I can do this! I can do this! She chanted. She drew close to Spike. She could hear his wails of fear. Spike! Rainbow tried yelling over his screaming. She knew it was a waste of oxygen, but it was the only way to get his attention. Spike ceased his screaming and looked up at Rainbow through watery eyes. Grab onto Applejack's leg! Applejack took a hoof out, and Spike grabbed it, missing and snatching for her instead. Applejack let loose a curse that was lost in the wind. Spike made another grab for her, catching the bottom of her hoof and holding both claws. He looked up at him. Now would be a good time for those wings. Rainbow circled back around, aiming for her last two targets. Almost there. I can do this! They were about halfway to the ground by now. Muscles in Rainbow's body were beginning to protest. She enjoyed pushing herself to the limits, but this was something else. She took deep breaths, letting fresh air into her lungs, reminding herself the pain was all in her head. She looked around behind Twilight and Sunset, quickly calculating how she was going to hold both of them. She looked down at the passengers hanging on her arms and back to the two falling ponies in front of her. A single idea popped in her head. It's desperate, but it's all I got! Rainbow yelled. Twilight, stop flapping your wings! Twilight obeyed to tuck her wings. Rainbow moved and grabbed the scruff of Twilight's neck in her mouth, her neck and jaw muscles already burning. She pulled up, pumping her wings harder than ever to make the climb. She almost despaired when she saw how far she was in Cloudsdale. Come on, Rainbow, you can do it! Fluttershy cheered. Rainbow narrowed her eyes to determination and doubled her wing beats. Higher and higher she soared, pushing her closer to her goal. The rest of her friends had joined in cheering, encouraging her drive to victory. Every muscle in her body felt like it was already on fire, especially her wings. But she couldn't stop, now when she was so close. Come on, Dash! You've been in the worst situations! The bottom of Cloudsdale grew larger. Though her soul told her she could make it, her body was beginning to doubt it. Her lungs burned from the limited oxygen she was receiving through clenched teeth. Her heart slammed against her chest, threatening to break through. Blood roared in her ears, drowning out her friends' cheers. Rainbow could feel her wings begin to tense up. She had never flown with this much weight before. Hauling the balloon was a different experience than carrying all her friends on her back. And Rainbow fails and everyone dies. Bye, guys! Do you think they bought it? She was almost there. Her whole entire body screamed at her to stop moving, but Rainbow just gritted her teeth, trying to fight past it. The cloud was less than 20 yards away. She just had to make it to the other side, then she could rest. Then her friends would be safe. Lungs wanted to collapse, brain began to go fuzzy. Wings begged for release. Rainbow continued to fight on. Almost there! She stretched her hose out, encouraging herself to finish her flight. Her hose scrubbed to vapor of the cloud when a sharp pain ran the length of her length lane. Locked up, and Rainbow's eyes went wide as she began to fall backwards. No! 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 She flapped her walking wing furiously, only for it to finally lock as well. No! She let go of Twilight and screamed along with everyone else as he fell back to the world below. Now would be a really good time for those wings! Spike sobbed. Rainbow began to tear well up as well. Not from the pain in her body, pain in her heart. I was so close. I was this close. Sorry, guys. Failed. She closed her eyes, waiting for her gruesome end. Instead, the world seemed to flip on her end. She stopped falling for a split second before starting again. Only she felt something odd. She opened her eyes and saw the green fields of the Unicorn Range pushing away from her. The world suddenly became shrouded in mist before the streets of Cloudsdale appeared before her. Rainbow was then unceremoniously dropped to the floor. She rolled her head to the side, seeing her friends panting on the floor, none harder than Twilight. Light from her horn just fading away. Catching Rainbow's eyes, Twilight said between breaths, Gravity's Tarbell. Harder to do with more ponies. But why did you jump in the first place? You could hardly fly, Rainbow panted. She was sounding angrier, but that required more energy. Twilight looked away. I had to do something. I couldn't watch them all fall like that. Rainbow could do was nod. She rested her head against the cool cloud, taking a deep breath. Both her wings ached, the left one threatening to fall off. She just wanted to lie there and rest. Considering the fact that she was still alive, despite her failure, her ears twisted as a cruel giggle floated past them. She jerked her head up to see the cloaked pony standing not too far away from her. I say, that was impressive, Maris said angrily. But let's face it, an alicorn that can't even fly. How pathetic. You! Rainbow pointed a hoof at her. She tried to get up, but her body would have none of it. Sunset, however, led to her host to charge the near pony. But a burst of red light, Vesper radius vanished once again. Sunset scared to stop and growled frustration. She turned to the rest of the group. We have to go after her. Applejack silly got her hoofs. On a normal day, I agree with you, Sunset. On fear going skydiving without parachute again, I think it'd be best if we head somewhere safer for now. Yes, that's not the experience I want to have for a third time, Rarity said. Sunset sighed. You're right. Should probably head back to Caroline before something else goes wrong. Rainbow shared some of its desire to go after Vesper. Feeling burned through her heart, but was overpowered by her weariness. However, it was that moment Rainbow felt a common bond with Sunset. Don't worry, kid. We'll catch her. She slowly got to her host, leaning on Pinky as support. We'll stop her. Then I'm going to wail on her so hard. Helping another to the hooves, the pony stood up for the balloon, hoping you would never have to step onto Cloudsdale again.